Hello everybody, this is Petey from BurgZerg Arcade at BurgZergArcade.net, and here we are back again with episode 31 of our item system. We're going to go ahead and jump straight into the code. And the first three scripts are actually our editor, and it does have the weapon database integrated into it, and that's what the next three scripts are going to do is, well, pull all this data out so we have that little layer of abstraction. And we're going to start it off with the armor database. So a couple things I want to change that I missed in the last video. We'll go ahead and make sure this is an IS armor database. I'm going to save. And for some reason, when I try to refactor now in MonoDevelop, my system crashes. It's done it several times. I've rebooted. I've even reinstalled. Not really sure what's going on, so I'm just going to go do this by hand. But anyway, I want this to be a capital, which means I am going to have to copy paste. Luckily, we're doing it early on, so there's not a whole lot that's going to need to be changed. Actually, we'll just make it long. And of course, we'll just copy that, paste it in, paste it in. And there we go. That's done. Let me quickly check. We haven't done anything here or there. All right. So that's this whole first script done, I believe. So let's go ahead. We'll move on to the next one. And I think list view is actually the shorter of the two. Let's do list view next. Now, all of the variables up here are actually part of the structure. And I don't want to change that because I want all of the different tabs to look the exact same and behave the exact same. So if we go ahead, jump into Unity, open it up. It doesn't matter what tab I'm on, obviously except for About. I want them all to look like this, where we have the list of items. And then if we select one, we actually get the details itself. I want them to all act and behave like that. So we'll keep these here. And what's going to change really is just this. What's inside this method? Now, there are a couple of ways we could do this. One, we could just keep a reference to a database. And as we go through here, change the database that we're accessing based on the tab that we're on. And we do have a switch for that, right? Yeah, we do have a switch, so we always know what tab we're on. So in here, we could actually go ahead and say, when we're on the weapon one, we'll go ahead and load the weapon database. If we switch to armor, grab the armor database. And right now, our databases are so small, I don't mind loading them all up into memory. And I don't really see a problem with that either. Your databases are going to have to get really big, I think, before you'd even notice an impact on loading them all versus just having one switching over and over. So I think actually that's the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and load all the databases right at the very beginning. So as we're doing the first one here, we'll go ahead and grab all of them. And there's not that many, right? So 4 or 5. Am I going to be able to access? So 1, 2, 3. We only have 3. I'll probably end up adding maybe 1 or 2 more as time goes by. So that's really not that many. And it's not like we're going to have like a million different items in our databases collectively anyway. And if it does become an impact, then we'll have to come back and do something different. But I think I like the idea of having all the databases loaded at once. And because of that, I'm actually going to go ahead and start implementing the new one here. So it's IS object category. And I'm just going to call it armor database. I'm going to go ahead and save that there. We're going to come down to on enable, and I'm just going to call armor database dot on enable. I'm going to save that. This tab by default, I think I want it to be on about, to be honest. I'm going to come back into the IS object category. I'm going to go ahead and create a constructor, and that's where I'm going to go ahead and set these. So public IS object category database name equals, we'll look up in a second here. I'm just going to do some string database. What do we got? Path is equal to some string as well. And I'm keeping all of my databases in the same spot. So actually that string, I don't think it's ever going to change, right? For me, it's not. So I actually might go ahead and just switch it back to a constant, a private constant. I'm just trying to think if I'm ever going to put it outside of this folder, and I don't think so. So back to the original idea. And we'll go ahead and get rid of this. And I did something wrong here. We have to get rid of the path. Path. We'll go ahead, copy this. We'll go ahead and post that into here and to here. And just now for the name. And I'll copy the exact same structure that I have here. And we should use that @ sign as well. Bye. Stop. There we go. So I believe it's just Armor database. And let's not have 2 there. But I do need 1. Come on, Mono. And just to make sure, I'm going to confirm. Let's go over to the databases. And we actually don't have one yet. We don't have it created. So the first time we run it, should create it. So I'll go ahead and save that off. Now this should actually go out and create the database now. Let me just quickly check here. Everything is saved. Let's go ahead and we'll run it, see what happens. See if anything blows up. So it's never assigned to. We better fix that first. We'll go ahead, save that off, come back in. And there we go. Let's go ahead, load this bad boy up and see if anything blows up. Nothing blew up. Let's go ahead, we'll take a look at our database. And sure enough, the Armor database did show up. Now we don't have anything in there yet. But it did properly create. If we close this down, open it back up, it should not recreate a new one. Great. We now have it creating another database for us. So the next thing I want to do is to get a list view going. And actually, before I do that, let's go ahead and we'll just make a couple dummy entries here for the list view. The first one, we're just going to call, I don't know, gloves. We'll just leave all the values at their default. And we'll come down here and we'll make another one called boots. And again, I'm going to leave them all at the default, even though we have the option to change everything. I'm going to save it, even though I don't think that makes a difference either. And we'll leave this open just so we can see it. We'll shrink these down though. So we have something in the database now. I'm going to come back into Mono Develop and I'm going to come down to the Armor tab. Now we have to call something here besides GUI layout .label. And we're going to want to make sure that we're using the right list view and item details. And I want to look at this. See, part of me just wants to go ahead and just take this and incorporate that into our list view, but it's not going to be that easy. If we did actually do that, let's go, we'll copy it and we bring it in over here. We're going to have to pass a lot of data between the two. The database we can get from here, its own class. The list view button width we can pass in as a parameter. The selected index, okay, we can return that, but we're going to run into trouble here with a temp weapon. But that could be a local variable or a global variable in this class. Show new weapon details equals true. And I'm going to have to check on that one. I'm not seeing it here. Is it up here? Yeah, it's right here. So that could be something that I just incorporate into our new system. Ideally, I would just have some call to this class to get the whole database, bring it back, or at least a reference to it. But then again, we already have the database. I don't want a bunch of switch cases for each database. I guess we're just going to use our good old friend generics again. The forms are going to be different enough for each item though. I would like to keep that in this class. We could make the state static in the editor. I think we could probably go ahead and make this work in this class. Let's go ahead and we're going to try it. So the database that we're going to be accessing will be the database that we have here. So I'll go ahead and just copy that name. Everywhere I see database, right here. Alrighty. The list view button width. We're going to pass it in through here, which I believe it's an int, right? It is. So I'll go ahead, I'll just copy that. I am going to make a whole new list view. I'm going to comment this one out and make a new one because I don't want to break what's working for weapon just yet. And while I'm here, an extra line there. Okay, so we're passing in an int. So we're going to go back into here, int, and I'm just going to say button width. Copy that, paste that in. And it looks like I'll need height as well. So I'm actually going to change this to a vector 2. And we'll call it button size instead. So we'll take button size. This will be .x for the width and .y for the height. The selected index is something I think I'm actually going to keep in this script, since the selected index really just shows which one that we're going to display over here. It doesn't really need to be passed back to the other class. So I'll put that in right up here. And let's make sure we have it as an int. And we should take a look to see how it's managed over here. So at first, that's right. Remember this, -1 means that nothing is selected. And we do actually check somewhere on this. Now I believe it's in the next section of the script. But -1 means we have nothing selected. So let's take note of that over here. And I want to leave a comment for that. So -1 means that we have nothing selected. So temp weapon, we're going to actually have to make a variable for that. And of course I'll make it private. So temp, actually it's an IS armor this time. And we'll just call it temp armor. And we'll put that there. We'll have to change this to an IS armor. Then we're going to go ahead and make a bool for this. And I'm going to say show details. By default, I'll have it equal false. And we'll go ahead and paste that in here. And then the state. Let me go ahead and just back that up a bit. Show new weapon details. So we actually have 2 bools here. And if we come into this one here, let's see. Now it has been several months since I've looked at this code, so give me just a second here. So we have a simple switch case block. If we're to show the details, we'll go ahead, we'll display the weapon. If not, so if we're showing the new weapon details, okay, and let's actually take a look at how this works in Unity itself. And we have to actually correct our errors first. So I'm going to make another bool up here for the new weapon part. And this might actually be a good spot for a tertiary. But I wish we were able to get by with the bool. New item. Well, let's stick to the name armor. So I'll go ahead and copy that. That's actually going to go here. And the show details. It's going to equal true. We'll save that off. And do I have an extra parenthesis here? It looks that way, doesn't it? Nope. Just got to hit enter. All right, so now we'll go back into our code. And we have lots of stuff that's being assigned, not used, but that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and clear it. And let's see if it still works. Make sure nothing is blowing up. Great. So let's go ahead and I'm going to grab the armor one and see if anything displays. Make sure we save our project beforehand. And where'd all my classes go? Okay, well, we'll just go ahead and reload those back up. So we'll come into the editor. We're going to come down to where the armor part is. And instead of just saying GUI, we'll go right underneath it. What I want to call is armor database.listView. We'll go ahead, we'll save that off, cross our fingers, nothing blows up. And I've actually got to pass something in. And what we want to pass in is actually a vector 2 of these. So I'm actually going to go ahead and create that vector 2. I'll do it down here though. I want to make a comment right above it. New vars for new system. It's a vector 2, and I'm going to say button size, and the width is 190, and the height is 25. We'll save that off. I'm going to copy the button size. We'll come back into here, and I'll just paste that in. Everything looks good. Make sure everything is saved just in case we blow up. We'll come back into Unity. We have an error, and it's really early in the morning here. What time is it? It's actually 6:19 in the morning. Well, after we're done recording this one, I'm going to go get a nap before my son gets up. How about that? Okay, so we'll go ahead, make a couple lines here. Now that should get rid of the error. Come on, all right. And let's see what we blow up. And we'll hit armor. And we are getting the list. It's not quite formatted properly. And well, let's get rid of that armor label first. We'll save that off. We'll have to come into, well, we'll have to come down to the GUI part, because this is where it's being drawn. Nope. Oh yeah, it's right here. So we draw the toolbar, and I'm going to grab just the default part of that, which is this. I'll paste it into the details over here. All right, and we'll need the bottom part. So we begin a vertical, end a vertical space, begin horizontal. We display, okay, so we'll grab all of this. Come back in. I'm just going to comment that part out. No whammies, no whammies. All right, it looks good. So we'll go ahead, we'll try this out. And of course the default is about now. And when we hit, and we should actually maximize size. When we work on the about tab, we'll do that. And when we hit armor, it's still not quite displaying right. We're not getting the division that we want. So let's go ahead and we'll take a look. What am I missing? I'm forgetting something. So we'll come back here. So we have the on GUI, it calls the list view. And then the item details. So let's go back to the list view. Let's make sure we got that copied properly. We don't have the scroll view. That's what it is. We're missing all of this part of it. So we'll grab the scroll view. Make sure we're in the right script. See, we're going to need... See, now I'm just moving all of that to here, and I don't really want to do that. For now, let's just go ahead. We'll just get something displayed there, and then we can figure out how we're going to refactor all of this out. So I do want that, and I know I want this. There we go. We'll need scroll paths. Deciding if we want to pass that in, but no. We're not going to be taking it out eventually, but... All right, save, cross fingers, head back into Unity, and let's take care of those errors first. And why is this all messed up again? Category details is last, followed by... There we go. All right, so where was this error? Line 16, list view width of category list view. So line 16. We'll take a look here, and sure enough, I've just got it so small that I can't see it. What is it? List view width 200. So I'm going to go ahead and pass that in as well. Wherever it is we call it, right here. And that is another int. And I'll just call it the same over here. And make sure that we actually tell it what type it is. And it looks like all the errors are gone. Save it off. make sure everything's saved. We'll come back into Unity, see if the errors, well, we'll go through the errors as we get them. All right, they're all gone. So let's go ahead. We'll try it back again. Hit weapon. Everything still works. Hit armor. There we go. We have the layout. We still got to get the box color over here, but I'm not too worried about that. Right now, I want to work on the list view. But anyway, we've got something listed there now. The button functionality will not work. It creates new game objects. What about weapons? There we go. But it's a start in the right direction, and that's where we're going to pick up in the next video. Anyway, as always, I'll see you there. Bye-bye. So if you like the video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. It really does help me out here on YouTube. And go ahead and follow me on Twitter. You're a pretty chatty guy over there when I'm not walking through a forest or being stalked by eagles and falcons, lions, tigers, and bears.